friends, today we are doing something super fun. Last night I posted on my Instagram stories asking you guys for a little bit of help picking my books for this little video, and the polls have been going for a pretty decent amount of time. Not quite 24 hours, but 20 hours, and I think that we're gonna call it here and see. We've got about 40 votes per poll, and I am excited to show you guys what we are going to be reading. The first poll that went up, I will pop the screenshot here so you guys, let me take the screenshot so y'all can see the winner. I'm gonna screenshot all of them real quick. There's a very clear winner for all of them, so I think it's also a good time to call it. So these were the first two books that were pitted against each other, The Dead Romantics and Good Spirits. I think both of these kind of like involve a ghost, so I thought there'd be a fun one to put together. I'm pretty hype about which one won because there was one that I wanted to read more than the other right now. But The Dead Romantics, this book is about, it says, Florence Day is the ghostwriter for one of the most prolific romance authors in the industry, and she has a problem. After a terrible breakup, she no longer believes in love. It's as good as dead. When her new editor, a too handsome mountain of a man, won't give her an extension on her book deadline, Florence prepares to kiss her career goodbye. But then she gets a phone call she never wanted to receive and must return home for the first time in a decade to help her family bury her beloved father. For 10 years, she's run from the town that never understood her, and even though she misses the sounds of warm southern night, her eccentric, loving family, and their funeral parlor, she can't help bring herself to stay. Her father's gone, yet everything else feels the same, and she hates it. Until she finds a ghost standing in the funeral parlor's front door, just as broad and infuriatingly handsome as ever, and he's just as confused about why he's there as she is. Her romance is most certainly dead, and so is her new editor, and his unfinished business will have her second guessing everything she's ever known about love stories. So for The Dead Romantics, I did a like writing emoji as well as a tombstone and a ghost. And then the other book is Good Spirits by BK Borison. He is the ghost of Christmas Past, not exactly a Scrooge. Ghost of Christmas Past, Nolan Callahan intends to spend his holiday haunting like every other. Get in, get out, return to his otherwise aimless existence as a ghost awaiting the afterlife. But when he's faced with Harriet York, the sweetest assignment he's ever had, he suddenly finds himself wishing for a future. Harriet York has no idea why she's being haunted. She's a good person, or at least she tries to be, a people pleaser to her core. She always does what is expected of her. But as she and Nolan began to examine her past, they discover that there are threads that bind them together, and realize that there might be more to moving on than expected. With the deadline of Christmas Eve fast approaching, they will find the key to their futures in the other's past, or will they stay firmly in the present, indulging in their unexpected spirited connection? So, for this one, I did a ghost emoji, a snowflake emoji, and a Christmas tree emoji. With 75% of the vote, this was the biggest, like, clear winner out of the three. The dead set winner is Good Spirits, which works out perfect because this is my book club pick of the month that I am reading this in, so I do need to get to this ASAP. So I'm super glad to get started on that. That means Dead Romantics will be putting back on the shelves because it's not on my TBR anyway. Then the next two, we have a book that's on my current TBR and one that is not. Let's see. First, we have The Edge of Falling. This one is on my TBR. I just recently read the synopsis. But this is about, it says, after saving a girl on the brink of suicide, Kagi, who grew up among the social elite, is used to being in the spotlight, suddenly becomes infamous. She's always had everything a girl could want, and being a hero was never part of the plan, but some things are decided for us. Now all Kagi wants is to be left alone. After all, she is still reeling from the death of her younger sister, the subsequent destruction of her relationship with her boyfriend, and the way in which her family has since fallen apart. So when a mysterious Aster appears, he might just be the distraction she needs. But what is he hiding? As life is She Knew It continues to unravel. Kagi realizes Aster's past may be as dark as her own, and in the world in which she's branded a hero, Kagi will soon discover that no one can save you. Not until you save yourself. The description of this book on Goodreads is a little bit different because that's what I was reading when I did my emojis, and it says that she lives in New York City in there. So the emojis I put for this one was a gravestone, a crying emoji, and the Statue of Liberty. And then we have got Make Believe Match by Melanie Harlow. This is book 3 in this Cherry Tree Harbor series. I'm obsessed with the first 2 books. The series is so good. But this says, it's a fake engagement, enemies to lovers, small town romance, okay? Fall in love with the enemy? No way. Marry him to save my family's struggling ski resort? That's a different story. Getting hitched is the only way I can inherit Snowberry Lodge, and I'll do everything to spare my childhood home from the wedding ball, even wear Devlin Buckley's ring on my finger. Not that I'll enjoy it. Sure, he's charming and handsome, and that no last name's one night stand we shared ended with a fantastically big bang. I saw stars. I hadn't seen it in 6 months, if you catch my drift. But I'll never trust him. He was working for the company trying to bulldoze my life, right up until the day he knocked on my door with an offer I couldn't refuse. Marry him and help me restore my family's crumbling resort to its former glory, and get revenge on his ex-boss in the process. Once our goals are achieved, we'll go our separate ways. It's temporary, strictly business, purely for show, until I realize how much I like it when he says my wife. Once we're sharing a last name and a bed, our make-believe match starts to feel a little too real. And if I'm not careful, I could lose everything, my home, my dreams, and my heart. So, of these 2 books, the winner with 61% of the vote is Make-Believe Match, which it would have been nice because this is on my TBR, so it's just going to go back on the TBR, but I am quite excited to get to that book because, like I said, the first book I gave 4 stars, the second book I gave 5 stars. I'm really enjoying that series. And then our final matchup, I have Juniper Hill by Devin E. Perry, which this is a mystery romance series, as well as the final girls support group. This is the last Grady Hendrix that I have to read, and then I can finally do my ranking of all of his books. But oh, for the emojis for this one, I did a ring, somebody skiing, and a kiss. So for this one, I did a girl, a knife, and a blood drop. And the description of this is, from chainsaws to summer camp slayers, Grady Hendrix' fast-paced and wickedly humorous thriller, the final girl support group, pays tribute to and slyly subverts our most popular horror films, movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream. Lynette Tarkington is a real-life final girl who survived a massacre. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and their therapist in a support group for those who endured the unthinkable, working to put their lives back together. Then, one woman misses a meeting, and Lynette's worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to rip their lives apart again, piece by piece. But the thing about final girls is that no matter how bad the odds, how dark the night, and how sharp the knife, they will never, ever give up. And then this is book 2 in the Edens series. I did a mom feeding a baby, a sponge, and a chef emoji. Memphis Ward arrives in Quincy, Montana on the 5th worst day of her life. She needs a shower, she needs a snack, she needs some sanity, because moving across the country with her newborn baby is by far the craziest thing she's ever done. But maybe it takes a little crazy to build a good life. If putting the past behind her requires 1,000 miles in a new town, she'll do it if it means a better future for her son. Even if it requires setting aside the glamour of her former life. Even if it requires working as a housekeeper at the Eloise Inn and living in an apartment above a garage. It's there, on the 5th worst day of her life, that she meets the handsomest man she's ever laid eyes on. Knox Eden is beautiful, sinful dream, a chef, and her temporary landlord. With his sharp, stubbled jaw and tattooed arms, he's raw and rugged and everything she's never had, and never will. Because after the first worst day of her life, Memphis learned a good life requires giving up on her dreams too. And a man like Knox Eden will only ever be a dream. So, the winner of this, with 65% of the vote, is the final girl support group. So, here are the 3 books we're going to be reading in today's video. Juniper Hill will be going back on the shelves because she's not on my current TBR, and we will jump in to these books. Okay guys, I decided to start this video with Good Spirits because I need to get this read within the next week because it's my book club pick and I have not read it. I'm only a couple of chapters into this, but basically in this book we have got our main girl Harriet, and Harriet is kind of estranged from her sister. Her mom is a very her mom throws these parties. She's kind of like the stereotypical rich fancy mom that wants her children to be seen and not heard. Their house doesn't look lived in, that kind of vibe. She talks about how her mom sent her a card to the Christmas party, and she's like, this card is addressed and looks exactly the same as the card that went to her accountant. She's not very motherly, not very warm. So Harriet has inherited her aunt's antiques shop, which is so fun, and she has her friend who works there, who I forget her name, but I'm already loving her. Basically, in this, Harriet's having a no good, very bad day, and she goes through this day with a bunch of bad things happening. She spills something on her sweater, a cat knocks her over, she busts a hole in her tights, the bakery is all out of scones or danishes, whatever. Everything's going bad, and when she gets home at night, she makes herself some peppermint tea and is getting cozy to watch White Christmas. And all of a sudden, a man emerges from behind the tree, and he knows her name, and he's claiming to be the ghost of Christmas past. And she's like, I'm obviously hallucinating. Something's wrong with this tea. It was expired. This is crazy. And he's kind of like, no, I'm the ghost of your Christmas past. You're a bad person, and you did something bad, and your wrongs have to be righted. I am bound to you until this issue gets corrected. And she's like, how'd you get in here? Should I call the police? She's freaked out, rightfully so. And she's like, I'm going to bed. Show me some magic then. If you're so magical, show me some magic. And he makes the light flicker, and she's like, do it again. And he's like, no, this isn't a magic trick. So she does not believe him. And she's like, come back tomorrow. I gotta get some rest. So the next day, he shows up at her antiques shop, and she's like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, this is real. Take my hand. His name is Nolan, and he takes her hand, and it's almost like when you apparate and goes into her past. And we are transported into Harriet's childhood. It's her and her little sister playing with a toy train around the Christmas tree and getting yelled at by their mom, and Harriet steals a little toy train. And Harriet's like, I don't feel bad about that. My mom sucked. She ended up taking the toy back and probably throwing it away. She was awful. I don't feel like I did anything really wrong. And Nolan is kind of self-reflecting, yeah, compared to the other people that I typically visit this time of the year, that's such a minor thing. What could she have done that is so bad? Every time he goes to meet somebody, they tell him, oh, I'm a good person. And he's like, yeah. But for some reason, he feels connected to Harriet in some way. And he, too, feels like she is a good person and that she didn't do anything bad. He goes to speak to his, boss. And she's like, no mistakes happen. You're bound to her. Figure it out. So we're going to go through this story to try to figure out what Harriet did and why he feels attached to her. But he is a ghost. He died young, and that's why he is this young, handsome man. But we will see where they go and how this turns out. Okay guys, we did it. We finished the first pick from Instagram, and that was Good Spirits, and oh my God, it's a 5-star. Simply, I had to give it 5 stars. The thing about BK Borison is my original, I think most people's, honestly, original impression with her is the Love Light Farm series, and I low-key think that series sucks. I gave every book in that series 3 stars or less. I think they all got a low 3. It was fine. Couldn't tell you a single thing about it because it was the most forgettable, blah, nothing burger of books. And then earlier this year I read First Time Caller, and I gave that 4 stars, and I was like, okay, maybe I like her. And so maybe I'm gonna give her her writing is getting better and better as she's going. She's growing, and I am such a fan of this book. So, as I mentioned, we have Harriet and we have Nolan, and as we continue the book, Harriet and Nolan keep examining her past to figure out, like, what happened, why is he here, why has he been bound to her for this holiday season, and I don't really want to say... I don't really want to say all that much more because there is some things that happen that are like a bit of a shock, and like revelations are made and things are discovered. But it was all so good, and my friend Andrea just kept telling me that this book is so magical. And I am somebody who loves magical realism. I know that magical realism as a genre is hard for a lot of people, because it's obviously not realistic because there's magic happening, but there's not enough magic to make it fantasy. Like, there's no magic system, there's no rules, blah, blah, blah. So I know a lot of people have a really hard time with it, but I think this is a way it was done perfect. This was my book club pick, and everybody besides my friend Madison gave it like a 4.5 or higher. My friend Madison hated this book. She couldn't get past the ghost sex, which is understandable. However, in this book, the way him being a ghost works is like, she can hold his hand, she can touch him, he's like physically there, other people can see him. It's not like he's this floating, invisible, Casper-like creature. He looks and acts like a man, he just happens to also be a ghost. So I was able to like disconnect the like him being a ghost with like the spicy times. And to be honest, I don't care. Spice, all Spice does for me in a book is if there's too much of it, I'm like, wow, that was annoying. I don't like Spice. I don't really care to read it. I like skim read the Spice for the most part, but I think there's only like 2 real Spice scenes in this whole book. So, wasn't too bad. But I did really, really, really love this. 5 stars. And honestly, my next book that we're reading for this video is going to be this one, Make Believe Match. And this is also a 5-star prediction. So that's really exciting. This is the book in this series, and it's also only like 330 pages, which is crazy. This book has the best rating in the series. I gave the first book 4 stars and the second book 5 stars. So if this one has the best rating, then surely this one's also going to get 5 stars. But this is Marriage of Convenience, and it involves like a ski resort. So I'm excited about it. We're going to get into this one next. Okay, friends, we are about halfway through Make Believe Match. We started at such a high in this video with our 5-star with good spirits. This I am feeling like a 3 at halfway, but I feel like with book 1 I felt the same exact way with and I gave it a 4, and then with book 2 I felt like it was a 4 till halfway, and then I gave it a 5. So there is hope for it to get higher. My issue is I don't love Marriage of Convenience, which you may say, Hannah, you love fake dating. And to that I would say yes. There's just something slightly different about them, and this book is falling so deeply into the my wife trope, which I personally think is like being overdone in this book. Like, I'm halfway through and he's probably called her, they've been married for about 2 chapters, and I think he's called her my wife no less than 50 times. But anywho, in this book we have got Devlin, our main male character, and we have got Lexi. It's throwing me off because her name is Alexandra, but she goes by Lexi, and I keep thinking her name's Alexis. So we have Alexandra or Lexi and Devlin. The books follow like a group of siblings. There's 5 of them. There's 4 brothers and a sister, and there's 5 books, so I think it's all of the kids in this Buckley family. So this is about him. He is kind of a real estate developer, and he's working for this company who is trying to buy Snowberry Ski Resort, which is the resort that Lexi's family owns, for a company like Black Diamond Skiing or something. One night, he's out with his family. He sees a girl at the bar. It's Lexi. They meet, they hook up, whatever. It's that classic moment where, kind of like in the beginning of Indigo Ridge, if you've read that, they go into this meeting because like her family wants to buy the ranch, he wants to buy the thing, and she's at the meeting because their ski resort's going under. She really wants to inherit it from her grandmother, but there's a stipulation in the will that she has to be married to inherit I keep saying ranch, to inherit the resort. So when she sees Devlin walk in, she's pissed. She thinks that he like knew who she was this whole time and it was all a scam to like force her to like be in his favor and sell. Wasn't the case, but she doesn't like him, so he's kind of getting in trouble at work because he has not closed this deal. He gets pissed at his boss because his boss wants to give the account to this guy like Bob Oliver, I think is his name. And this guy's a slimy ass snake. Devlin was dating this girl McKenna, who was his boss's daughter, and McKenna cheated on him with this other guy, and literally at like Christmas time, at the Christmas party, and 2 months later she's engaged to this other guy. So they have bad blood, they don't like each other, and so he's given 2 weeks to close the deal. With 2 days left in his like time to close the deal, his boss gives the account to his enemy, and he basically punches them in the face, storms off, quits his job, flies out to Michigan to see Lexi, and is like, don't sell it. We're gonna get married in Vegas tomorrow, and I'm gonna help you save the ski resort. And that's kind of where I'm at. They just got married, and they just told her grandmother that they're married so that they can try and save the resort. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yeah, we're about to be on page 160. So we're literally like bang on halfway through. So I'm gonna finish this tonight. My Kindle says I have less than 2 hours, so let's go. Okay, friends, we finished it, and it did turn around in the second half, and I was able to increase it to 4 stars, which I'm very happy about. I did really, really like it. It was making me tear up at the end. Oh, it ended up being so cute. There's just enough like emotional punch in these books that really grips me as somebody who like needs there to be something like sad and emotional in their books. There always ends up being something. And like, though I thought the third act conflict was kind of annoying, everything wrapped up so good and so cute, and I really enjoyed it. I couldn't give it a full 5 because I did find the beginning kind of slow, but regardless, we gave it a 4 star. So in this video, we had a 5 star and we've had a 4 star. So everybody on Instagram, you're winning, because my most recent Goodreads video went pretty bad. I think my recent Libby video did very mid. So you're killing it, basically. So that leaves our last book, which is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I am a Grady Hendrix lover, but I feel like this is his book that people like the least. So everything could, in fact, go downhill right here. So I'll let you know when I get started on this. It's so annoying. I had the loan for this book through a library, but I didn't realize I had to go verify my library card, and then to verify that library card, because I literally live 15 minutes away from that library, same county, but the next town over, it was going to be $150 for the library card, and I just could not rationalize it. So now I'm re-waiting, but I'm first in line. So when we get that, we will come at you. Okay, guys, this is what we're going to go with. It's our last book. This is the final book for this video. And I will say I'm a little bit baffled. I don't know why the audiobook for this is like 13 hours when it's like a 330-page book. Seems weird, but I felt that way also whenever I was reading We Sold Our Souls. I think that one also had a really long audiobook. I don't really know, but this is The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. This is the last book I have in this backlist that I've been actually putting off because it does not have great ratings. But once this is done, we can do a tier ranking, or not like a tier ranking, but like a ranking video, which maybe you'll see that as part of Bookmas. Who knows? But this is what we're going to start next. It's 11 p.m. I'm not starting this right now, but it will be the next thing I read. Switching up the angle, you guys can see one of my other trees. This is what I refer to as our nerd room, if you're unaware. So we have our nerdy Christmas tree with all the nerdy stuff. Got all my board games, a million Christmas presents. We are not going to talk about it. But I am about halfway through the Final Girls support group, or the Final Girl support group. I was listening to this while I was helping my friend out at work yesterday, and it was so funny because prior to going to start this, I was talking with my friend Kirsten, and she was saying how bad this book is. And we were talking about how Grady Hendrix, his books either are like mega hits or mega fails. And this book has a very low rating. I will say, as of right now, I'm liking it better than both How to Sell a Haunted House and We Sold Our Souls. Those are like my 2 least favorite. This is sitting at like a 3 right now, which I'm shocked by. I thought I was gonna get a 2 or a 1. But basically, in this book, we have this set of girls who were the final girl in some sort of massacre. They were the lone survivor, and they went and were kind of like attacked again and have killed their attacker. It's basically how they developed this group. We start out going to like their group meeting where one of the girls is not present. They have their therapist who's there, and all of the girls are talking, and they're like, we can't get started until she gets here. I think her name's Adrienne. And then they get a call that Adrienne's dead. And then one by one, the girls start getting attacked and either like getting injured, getting hospitalized, dying. All of these crazy things are happening. And then we are mainly following Lynette. Lynette is like her trauma response to everything she's been through has been to over prepare. So whenever she goes anywhere, it takes her like 8 hours because she like will loop just to make sure nobody's following her. She's like, I always track people's shoes because it's easy to change an outfit. It's harder to change your shoes. I'm tracking the shoes. Is anybody following me? I'm memorizing this license plate. Oh my God, this, that, and the other thing. Whatever. When she gets into her house, you like open the door and then you're in this cage that you have to put in this like 5 different codes to get through. Like, she is prepared, okay? And so when one of the girls from the group who's in a wheelchair comes to her door and is like banging into her door, like, let me in, let me in, let me in. She has a reporter with her. Bad things happen, and now Lynette is basically on the run, meeting up with these different final girls to try to figure out what's going on because she's convinced that somebody's out to get all of them. And yeah, we just recently found out like what happened with Lynette, and this is not like funny, but like it's kind of like interesting that I'm choosing to read this around Christmas time because Lynette's murderer, or Lynette's bad guy, was literally somebody dressed as Santa. So it's just like, oh, okay, maybe this is a holiday read. But so far, it's pretty interesting. I still don't understand how the audiobook is 14 hours long for a 330-page book. But I don't want to say like too much more than that just because this is like a horror thriller type of book, and I feel like with books like this, the less you know, the better, because things come as a surprise, and that's kind of the point. So we're not gonna tell you anything further, but I will let you know when I finish this, which I do intend to finish today. I am working on, I run a virtual D&D campaign, and we do have a session this Wednesday, so I'm finishing up doing the maps for that, and then I'm gonna eat lunch, and then I'm gonna start working on my real work, which is when I will listen to this. So I will check in with you guys when we're done with this book and done with this video. What have we read? Good Spirits was a 5-star. We Live, Laugh, Love that. And then the, what was it called? Make Believe something? Make Believe Match was 4 stars. So we're slowly going downhill. 5, 4, 3 is probably what I'm thinking. I don't think this will get more than a 3, but I say all the time, I think a 3-star is a good rating. It's middle of the road. Glad that I read it. Not really gonna stick with me. But for a book where I'm expecting it to be like a 1 or a 2, and if it turns out to be a 3, that's a win, baby. So let's continue with the Final Girl. I keep wanting to call it Final Girls, but it's just the Final Girl support group. So let's go. I have finished. You guys can't see it, but I have all of his books stacked up so I can film my ranking video for them. But I am happy to come at you and let you guys know I rated this 4 stars, which I am very shocked about. I think because I went into this with such low expectations that enjoying it at all was a shock. So I was gonna give it a 3, but it just didn't feel like enough. So, and I don't do half stars. I think next year I'm going to, but 4 stars. I know, that's a hot take. This is a 3.5 on Goodreads, which is pretty low. It's not my favorite Grady Hendrix. It's not in the top 3. But it might be 4. So stay tuned for the tier ranking video. But that is all for today's video. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!